right, what's your name?
My name's Josh.
What they call you?
They call me Shaggy.
Shaggy, where you from?
Originally from Oakland, California.
Oakland, California. So what brought you to Miami?
I came down to Miami with, came across country with my fiance at the time. We were going to move to Asheville, North Carolina. Came across country. Great time doing that. Got to Asheville, ended up finding a spot. Had to come down here to pick up her stuff from storage. We were going to go back up. Place fell through, and she basically just abandoned me out here right at the Golden Corral down in Florida City.
She abandoned you at the Golden Corral. What was she like?
Oh man,
Did y'all
crazy.
have any problems or?
Oh yeah, it's like every couple has arguments and things like that, but then with the stress of, using all the money we had coming across the country, trying to find a spot, doing all that, losing it, combination of drugs, alcohol, and lack of medication on her part, it just fell through.
And what kind of addictions you have? What kind of drug problems you have?
Back then, a lot of alcohol, definitely smoking hard. That was a huge breaker, was smoking hard. And with that and alcohol, really. I used to smoke a lot of weed, but I don't really do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got shit to do next week. One hit from a joint puts me out.
One hit from a joint puts you out.
Yeah, I used to smoke weed all day, all night in high school, but now if I take a puff or two from a joint, man, I'm good for like a day.
Good for a day.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: what happened to your arm?
I got blown up. I was not in the military. I was close. I was 2 weeks away from shipping out for the Marine Corps at a 4th of July party back home in Oakland when I was 19. And a friend of mine, quote unquote, I guess, he snuck up behind me and lit the fuses in my pocket. I had two big mortars.
God damn.
Yep.
2 fuses in your pocket. So, what is like being down here? Like, where do you stay?
Oh God, I've stayed everywhere from down on Lucy and One, down in Florida City, to behind the shelter here, the Hack. I was in the shelter for about 6 months, with my dog, and just kind of, they were redoing policies or whatever it was, and a bunch of us drew the short straw, and we got kicked out. So now I'm out here on the street, staying in a tent. Luckily, at least I have that. And yeah, but we stay right here on the busway now.
On the busway. So what is it like sleeping in the tent out there? Is it rough? Is it things you have to watch for?
Oh, definitely. You got to be careful about who you talk to and who you associate with, and people constantly stealing your stuff, things like that. Unless you're surrounded by good people, which luckily I'm surrounded by a group of good people. So we're safe. We stick together and we try to help each other out as best we can, bringing food or whatever. But it could be dangerous for sure. It could be really dangerous. You can't. Don't be a fool and think it's like luxury out here, because it's definitely not.
Yeah, no, I know, man. I know it's rough, So what do you do for money?
Money, I do a lot of panhandling, it's probably mostly how I get my money, but I try and beg people for work. Like, I've done handyman jobs. Like, I'm a licensed maintenance technician for facilities and machinery, and a mechanic. So if somebody needs work, I love to work. And I'm not afraid to do it, but it's hard to find people that'll trust, like the random homeless guy out on the street, to let them into their house to fix things, or let them work on their car. So for the most part, panhandling is probably the #1 way that I get my money right now.
Yeah, what you used to do before all of this happened? What kind of work you used to do beforehand?
California, I trained dogs professionally for about 5 years, and then got back into maintenance. I used to work for a company in California that they manufactured heating and cooling units, like for anything from computer server rooms to rockets, really. And I was on the maintenance crew for the big machines, the CNC machines, and for the facilities, I used to fix the whole building and all the machinery in there. And that got, because of COVID, lost that job. And just after that was unfortunately when my mom had passed, and that's when me and my fiance at the time decided, get out of California, and which is crazy. Thought moving to Nashville would be nicer and smoother and everything, and well, now I'm here. So
now you're here. Yep. So you haven't seen her? None. She went back to California.
No, she was born in Pennsylvania, so she went back up to Pennsylvania with her family.
Yeah.
That was the last I heard, but I haven't talked to her in, God, 3 years.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So what you do on a day-to-day here? Like, what you do on a day-to-day? Basically, what's your day like?
Man, it changes. There's a lot of, I try to keep a routine, but there's a lot of flying by the seat of your pants. I'll wake up and go out and talk to people and kind of see what, if there's any kind of work anybody could give me. I talk to a lot of the stores over there by the Walmart. They know me real well. They'll give me something to eat, or, give me something to drink, and the gas station will give me coffee, do that kind of stuff in the morning. And then throughout the day, it's normally figuring out, okay, how am I going to make a little bit of, how am I going to turn this penny into 50 cents? Or, okay, how am I going to bring food to camp? And what kind of supplies do we need? But most importantly is making sure that my dog is fed, he's got everything he needs, and then after that, I kind of more so look after myself and everybody else. So it's, it changes from day to day, but for the most part, it's literally like surviving from the day to day. How am I going to get something to eat? How am I going to get some drinks to bring to camp? And how am I going to make at least a little bit of money?
And what y'all barbecue out there?
Oh yeah, we cook a lot. We barbecue, we make breakfast. Pop's in there, he'll make grits and eggs in the morning if we have the ability. He's a master on that little grill there, so I'm lucky for that. But yeah, we do a lot of barbecuing, a lot of anything that can be cooked on a grill is what we basically ended up eating.
Yeah. So what you think you could tell the people, man, the youth? You know what I mean, as far as the life you living, and what kind of advice you can hand to the youth, or just the people in general, about this life out here?
Oh man, for the kids, keep your head screwed on straight, man. Don't get involved in anything that's crazy. If something's too good to be true, it probably is. Don't be out here on the street doing anything like any kind of mess, anything like that. When your parents are telling you to do something, they're doing it for a reason, man. Because being out here is no fun. Anything you can do to keep yourself from being out here, do that. Do that. It's because out here, it's rough, man. If you can figure out any way at all not to be out here, keep yourself in school, get yourself a job, keep yourself busy. Idle hands are not good. Just.
So you saying basically, do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do. Handle your business. And just don't make your business anything don't run the streets or anything like that. I've seen a lot of kids out here even. Just down the street over there in Naranja and everything. There's a couple kids that have gotten shot in the last couple weeks.
Yeah,
so running the streets is not. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
So you done seen a lot of things out here. What are some of the craziest things you probably seen out here?
Oh wow, man, that's a hell of a question. I was like, shit. I thought I'd seen everything until I came out here. I've seen everything from, women getting beat up, people knotted out on heroin, to I've seen people get hit by cars. I've seen people get shot, stabbed, robbed. There's been a lot of crazy shit that happens.
So that's something like everyday occurrence out here. You're gonna see something.
You're gonna see something. Not every day is bad. It's horrible things I just said don't happen on a day to day. Well, they happen on a day to day to people, but I mean it's I don't see that every day. But on a day-to-day basis, I can say on a day-to-day, I'm guaranteed to at least see 1 or 2 people, unfortunately people I know that are probably knotted out on their heroin or their boy, whatever you want to call at least a fight or two, you know, and that's just on a day-to-day, but it gets, there are special days where it gets crazier than that, for sure. And, you know, it gets crazier than that at least a couple times a week. You know?
I hear it's a lot of stuff go down, you know, pretty much around this busway, like it ain't nothing to really play with. You really gotta really be on your P's and Q's out here, you know? Like it's really rough, like they'll rob you on this busway out here.
Oh, I've seen people get robbed at this bus stop, like right here. I've seen people get robbed. I've seen people get beat up right at this busway. Like, you know, and, you know, I didn't used to live right by the busway. I used to live down closer to the canal, down by the, you know, kind of closer to the hood. You know, somebody back there, they set my tent on fire. That's why I came up here.
Damn.
You know, so.
Why did they set your tent on fire?
That's something I don't really even know the answer to. I still go down there and talk to people. You know, I still got friends and stuff down there. I can't figure it out. I'm a kind of person. It's like I keep it cool with everybody. I keep respect for everybody. I don't bother nobody. I stay in my lane. You know, so I have no idea. Really, what I think happened in my camp was like a lot of people, because they would come to me, and it's against my morals to deny somebody who says they're hungry or thirsty something to eat or drink. You know, if somebody needs a place to stay, I was always somewhere you could go and lay a head. You know, I like to be able to help people out, even though I'm in the position that I'm in.
Right.
You know, and I think what had actually happened was somebody went into camp, tried to like maybe started a campfire or something like that. I wasn't there, and you know, so I don't really know, but it's my guess, because I don't have beef with anybody. Any kind of beef that I have that pops up, somebody says, I like to go handle it and figure out what the problem is and squash it. I don't like to keep beef with anything like that. Somebody has a problem with me, like if you got a problem with me, you're gonna be the first person that I come up to and be like, hey man, like I heard this, that, and the other, like what do we got to do to straighten things out?
Right.
You know, handle things diplomatically. So I think maybe somebody was over there, went in, I wasn't there, tried to start a fire, and it maybe got out of hand, you know, got out of the little fire pit that I had. Like, honestly, don't think it was an intentional thing, and nobody else really does either, because everybody else said the same thing. Like, man, Shaggy, you don't have a beef with anybody, you're cool with everybody, like why would somebody do that? And you know, so that's really what I think kind of happened. Was it just an accident? Whoever did it just like is too nervous maybe to show face and, you know, just come up and say like, hey man, I'm sorry, I fucked up. You know, type thing. And I'm a forgiving person, you know, to an extent, you know, and a forgiving person when it comes to honesty. You know, if you come up to me and you just say, hey man, I'm sorry, I fucked up.
Right.
I'll be like, you know what, man, you know, I might be upset, I might be mad. Like in this instance, yeah, I'd be upset, I'd be angry, but I would let it go, you know, pretty quickly, because, you know, you at least came up and were a man about it, or a full-grown woman about it, and said, you know, hey man, I'm fucked up, my bad.
So how long you plan on being out here? You just gonna thug it out, or you know, or you plan on really like getting it together soon?
I have things already in place. Like, you know, I'm gonna definitely thug it out for as long as I need to. You know, but this is definitely not a permanent thing I'm planning on doing at all. I actually, literally last week, I met up with a guy who's giving me a job that starts on Monday. So, like, he bought me a phone and everything because he wanted to be able to stay in contact with me. My phone's up in my tent right now. You know, so thankfully that's looking up. I've got disability going in. My food stamps should be, my card should be coming. You know, so I'm trying to take, you know, one step at a time, one day at a time. That's about the best that we can do, you know, but thug it out as much as I have to, but I'm definitely, I'm not going to be, I don't plan on having to thug it out for very long. You know, I don't want to, I can't keep having me and my dog. And
what kind of dog you have? I keep hearing you say your dog. What kind of dog you have?
He is a Rhodesian Ridgeback and Plot Hound mix. He's an old man.
How long you had your dog?
11 years. I've had him since he was 6 weeks old.
Oh man.
Yeah. I was going to bring him out with me, but he was asleep. Because it's normally, that old man's asleep.
Yeah.
So like he just like, I'll just let his old ass lay down. You know, he's dealt with me for 11 years, man. You kidding me? That dog needs a vacation and a raise.